The little boy's screams echoed through the glass walls of the corporate headquarters, bringing an entire billion-dollar company to a standstill. Employees froze. Executives exchanged nervous glances. Security guards rushed toward the lobby. And in the middle of it all stood a single mother, clutching her trembling son while tears streamed down her face. No one could calm him. Not the doctors. Not the therapists. Not even his own mother. Then something unbelievable happened. The company's CEO made an offer that left everyone speechless. $750,000 to anyone who could calm the boy. But the person who finally changed everything wasn't a famous specialist, a child psychologist, or a medical expert. It was the janitor. And all he whispered was one word. Before we begin, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Single Dad Empire if you believe kindness can change lives and that everyone deserves a second chance. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories like this to the world. The bright summer sun poured through the towering windows of Vantage Dynamics, one of the most successful technology companies in the country. The building stood like a monument to wealth and achievement, attracting investors, entrepreneurs, and executives from around the globe. For 32-year-old Marisol Vega, however, it was simply another place where she hoped someone would finally see her worth. Life had not been kind to Marisol. 5 years earlier, her husband had died unexpectedly in a construction accident, leaving her alone to raise their infant son. Her son, Orion, was unlike other children. By age 4, doctors diagnosed him with severe autism. By age 6, he still hadn't spoken a single word. The diagnosis came with endless appointments, expensive therapies, sleepless nights, and heartbreaking moments that few people could understand. Marisol worked 2 jobs just to survive. Every paycheck disappeared into rent, food, therapy sessions, and medical bills. There were days she skipped meals so Orion could have everything he needed. There were nights she cried silently after he fell asleep, wondering whether he would ever speak. Yet every morning she got up and kept fighting. Because that's what mothers do. When Marisol heard about an administrative position opening at Vantage Dynamics, she saw something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. The salary would allow her to quit one of her jobs. The health insurance would help cover therapy costs. The flexible schedule would let her spend more time with Orion. It felt like a lifeline. The interview was scheduled for a Thursday morning. Unfortunately, Orion's regular caregiver canceled at the last minute. Marisol had no family nearby. No friends available. No backup plan. Missing the interview wasn't an option. So she made a difficult choice. She brought Orion with her. At first everything seemed fine. The receptionist smiled kindly. Orion sat quietly beside his mother. Marisol completed paperwork and waited for her interview. Then the unexpected happened. A fire alarm test began on the lower floors. Although the alarm was brief, the sudden noise shattered Orion's sense of safety. His body stiffened instantly. His breathing became rapid. His hands flew to his ears. Then came the screaming. Loud. Uncontrollable. Heartbreaking. The sound filled the lobby. Employees stopped working. Visitors stared. Security rushed over. Marisol knelt beside her son, desperately trying to comfort him. Nothing worked. The more people gathered around, the worse it became. Within minutes, the situation had spiraled completely out of control. People whispered. Some looked annoyed. Others looked uncomfortable. Marisol felt humiliation burning through her chest. This was exactly what she feared. The judgment. The misunderstanding. The assumption that she was a bad mother. She wrapped her arms around Orion and whispered words of comfort while silently praying for a miracle. High above the lobby, in a glass office overlooking the building, CEO Preston Hale watched the scene unfold. Preston was known throughout the business world as a brilliant leader. His company was worth billions. His decisions shaped industries. Yet beneath his polished exterior lived a man carrying his own hidden pain. Years earlier, Preston had lost a daughter to a rare illness. The grief never truly left him. When he saw Marisol's desperation, he didn't see a disturbance. He saw a parent fighting for her child. Without hesitation, he headed downstairs. The lobby fell silent when he arrived. People stepped aside. Executives followed behind him. Preston approached carefully and observed the situation. Then he made a surprising announcement. He told everyone present that if anyone could genuinely help calm the boy, he would personally award them $750,000. The crowd gasped. Some thought he was joking. Others immediately began offering suggestions. Within minutes, specialists from nearby offices were called. A child psychologist arrived. A behavioral therapist attempted several techniques. An occupational therapist tried sensory tools. Nothing worked. Orion remained trapped inside his overwhelming storm. The hours passed. The lobby transformed into a scene of frustration and helplessness. Meanwhile, unnoticed by almost everyone, an elderly janitor quietly swept nearby hallways. His name was Amos Whitaker. At 68 years old, Amos had worked at Vantage Dynamics for nearly 12 years. Most employees barely knew his name. Many never acknowledged him at all. To them, he was simply part of the background. Invisible. Yet Amos carried a story no one knew. 30 years earlier, he had raised a son named Noah. Noah had also been nonverbal. Noah had also struggled with severe autism. Amos remembered every sleepless night. Every public meltdown. Every judgmental stare. Every tear his wife cried. Most of all, he remembered the loneliness. The feeling that the world didn't understand. As Amos watched Orion, memories flooded back. Painful. Beautiful. Unforgettable. His son had passed away at age 22 due to a heart condition. The loss had changed him forever. For years, Amos carried Noah's memory quietly inside his heart. Now, watching Orion, he felt something stir deep within him. Without asking permission, Amos slowly set down his broom. He walked toward the crowd. Several executives frowned. A few people rolled their eyes. What could a janitor possibly do? Amos ignored them. He approached carefully. Slowly. Respectfully. Then he sat on the floor. Not beside Marisol. Not beside the CEO. Beside Orion. Everyone watched. The screaming continued. Amos didn't speak immediately. He simply sat there. Calm. Patient. Present. Then he looked gently at Orion. And whispered one word. Safe. Just one word. Nothing more. Safe. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then something remarkable occurred. Orion's screaming softened. His breathing slowed slightly. The tension in his shoulders eased. The crowd stared in disbelief. Amos repeated the same word. Safe. Again. Safe. Again. Safe. The boy's eyes shifted toward him. For the first time in hours, Orion seemed to focus on something beyond his fear. Tears filled Marisol's eyes. The entire lobby remained silent. Amos continued speaking softly. Not demanding. Not forcing. Just offering reassurance. Safe. Minute by minute, the impossible happened. The storm inside Orion began to settle. His breathing normalized. His hands lowered. His body relaxed. Finally, complete silence filled the room. The crowd erupted into applause. Some employees openly cried. Marisol covered her mouth as sobs escaped her chest. She couldn't believe what she was witnessing. For the first time all day, her son appeared calm. Preston Hale stood frozen. Even after building billion-dollar companies, he had rarely witnessed something so powerful. He approached Amos and asked how he had done it. Amos smiled sadly. Then he shared the story of Noah. The room listened in silence. Every struggle. Every heartbreak. Every lesson. And then he explained. Sometimes children don't need solutions. Sometimes they need to know they are safe. Because before learning, speaking, or understanding, every human being needs security. Needs connection. Needs love. The room was transformed. But the greatest surprise was yet to come. As Marisol knelt beside Orion, something happened that no doctor could explain. The little boy looked directly at Amos. His lips trembled. Everyone held their breath. Then, for the first time in 6 years, Orion spoke. One word. Safe. The room exploded with emotion. Marisol collapsed into tears. Employees cried openly. Even Preston wiped tears from his eyes. One word. A word spoken from trust. A word spoken from understanding. A word that changed everything. True to his promise, Preston awarded Amos the $750,000. But Amos shocked everyone again. He donated most of it to programs supporting families with autistic children. Then Preston offered Marisol the job immediately. Not because he felt sorry for her. Because he admired her strength. Her perseverance. Her love. Years later, Orion would continue making remarkable progress. Slowly, word by word, sentence by sentence, he found his voice. And every year on the anniversary of that unforgettable day, Marisol, Orion, Preston, and Amos met for lunch. Together they remembered the moment that changed all their lives. Not because of money. Not because of success. But because one overlooked man chose compassion over silence. Before we finish, tell us in the comments, what is one act of kindness that changed your life forever? And if this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Single Dad Empire. Stories like these remind us that the most important people are often the ones the world overlooks. Special request, comment safe below if you believe every child deserves love, patience, and understanding. Because sometimes the most powerful thing we can offer another person isn't money, status, or influence. Sometimes it's a single word. A single moment. A single reminder that they are not alone. And for one frightened little boy, that reminder became the beginning of a miracle.